This is the Hammerfisting Podcast, exclusively on Gas Digital Network.
You could market his story in a way where, wow, this guy comes back, he's going to win back his UFC light heavyweight title. But I feel like after the whole Conor McGregor success story that we're seeing live out, that's going to culminate this weekend at UFC 205, that the UFC has learned lessons where they don't want fighters to get that big. Because if they get that big, the fighters can call their own shots, and that's just not how promoters work.
Absolutely. You know, and I think another just side point is I think, first of all, if you're a foreigner, anything you fucking say is twice as funny. Like, that guy can say anything. Like, I like Cheerios, and if he says it in his fucking Irish accent, that shit's fucking way funny. Like, I find myself laughing just with
and if you say cunt or like
fucking cuss eat or say anything, it's just ridiculous. And I noticed that the UFC has taken a huge liking. If you're from another foreign country, they're all about you. Like, oh, we're gonna steal this whole new market. We're gonna steal this company. So when Conor came up from Ireland, he was one of the only true, I guess, big fighters from Ireland. They love that stuff. Michael Bisping, they turned him into a huge star. He was one of the highest paid guys in the UFC in history on paper for a long time. He wasn't even the champion, but he was actually listed as the number one paid guy on paper, not counting pay-per-view sales, just because, from being from England. So they love that. Being an American, I guess our country's so big and so many fighters from there, we just get kind of like lumped in. It kind of sucks, I wish I was almost from.
Well, how many more things?
Hey, we can make that happen. Imagine that. We just Bryan Caraway mysteriously disappears. All of a sudden, we're like, that guy Mickey O'Douls looks a lot like Bryan Caraway.
Dyes his hair red.
Change my name.
Is he coming down to the ring in a fucking motocross bike? Did he just pop a wheelie?
That'd be cool though. I'd be into that, right? Like entrances, like that. That'd be fun. But that's the thing. Like,
do that. But like,
Yeah,
who's Misha
absolutely
hanging out with this old dual guy? Call Brian and let him know.
That's the thing. If Dana White sat and opened up the UFC video game and went to create a fighter, he'd create Conor McGregor. So why do you think McGregor's getting the biggest push? At the same time, if McGregor signed to Bellator or was in a different promotion, he would be just as big of a star. Like, people forgot that Ronda Rousey, the UFC takes all his credit for, and they did a great job with her, whatever. She was a Strikeforce find, right? Like, they could have promoted her just as effectively there. And, like, man, the UFC sat there and told us that Nate Diaz wasn't a draw. Who is the biggest draw of all time? One half. Nate Diaz with Conor McGregor.
And they did not push him forever. That's a huge
They didn't.
Yeah, and he came up to the Ultimate Fighter. He did all the right things, fan-friendly style, most submissions in the UFC, etc. Stands up, talks shit, does the whole thing. But when you really look at it, Conor McGregor, the genius of him is he was smart enough to go, yeah, that guy, Nate Diaz, he's a big draw. Put him on the opposite side of cage of me. We're going to make a ton of money.
He's like the Clive Davis of MMA.
And I also think a lot of the thing about Nate, the reason why he popped off is because he was paired up against the guy that I said, he's kind of calculated. He knows what he's going to say. Against a guy who literally, I always said it was the battle of the guy who keeps saying he doesn't give a fuck against the guy who truly does not give a fuck.
Yeah.
And when you saw him, I knew Conor was going to lose when he had this line ready. He had this line that you could tell he wrote, and he tried to say it twice. And then it was about gazelles. And then Nate's like, dude, I don't even know what a fucking gazelle is. We're in America, bro.
What is this, the Money Channel?
Yeah, dude, that was the most perfect. And I think that kind of that told the story, dude. That was I don't know, man. But people also forget it's the fight game, dude. So you have to win, right? Yeah. So I always say, if Conor's 2 losses away from, dude, if he loses this fight, I said it last fight, but if he loses this fight and then goes down to 145 and loses again, how much does he need to talk to get people to keep?
He'll still be a star, but his value will significantly drop.
It's got to
drop by at least half if that happens.
If you're a name, you're a name. Look, I'm fucking amped for Chael Sonnen versus Tito, and I don't even know why, dude. And I'm excited, and I know it's going to be horseshit.
It's a trash fire.
Yeah, but I'm excited, dude. I want to see them fight.
Well, the reason you were saying, Nate Diaz, he has that thing about him where he truly doesn't care. That's his appeal. Yeah, that's why fans like him. And fans also liked him because he was actively shit on by the UFC.
And also, you're like, is he smoking weed right now?
Yeah.
Is he smoking weed at the press conference?
100%. But, it takes a long time for fans to find that out about you if the UFC isn't out there providing those avenues for you, or you don't have, the UFC has independent contractors, but they could tell you, hey, don't do interviews with, that media source. So then what is that? That's like you're an employee then, right? Like,
which will probably be us after this interview.
yeah,
dude, that's it. Brian, you guys start smoking weed after every fight from now on. Dude. At the press conference, just light up a blunt, just pulling out
something, right?
and let people
Doing lines at the fucking presser.
I know. He's just like mainlining H at the press conference.
The UFC didn't like and promote Nate, I feel like, because he was too much of his own person. He didn't give a fuck. They're like, oh, that guy's kind of a loose cannon. Like, he's going to say some shit. He's going to do his own thing. He's going to say what he wants to say. We can't control him. And Conor, that's where he was smart. When he first got in the UFC, he didn't blow up right away. When he fought Marcus Brimage, he was kind of like playing the smart route. He's quiet. He talked a little bit of shit, but not really when he first got in the UFC. He was doing what they were saying, kind of, wasn't really being a big star. And then they're like, oh, this guy's good from Ireland. We could push him. We could sell his country. He started becoming a little bit more boastful. And then finally, once he realized he had enough power and enough share, then he could really open up and start demanding things. And I think he was really intelligent the way where he marketed himself and kind of approached it. And I think that's why they didn't promote Nate Diaz. I think he could have been a super big star a long time ago just because he is so raw and he's so interesting. But it took Conor McGregor to pull him out and say, realize, hey, this guy can sell.
Well, even as brash as Conor is, like there's still that air of like he's a business partner with the UFC. He has like this mind. You can almost feel it. I don't know if it's just me. I'm reading too much into it.
No,
but it
it's
feels
like calculated.
Like, it's very calculated. Yeah, well, yeah.
he's smarter than Dana. Like he's smarter than Dana.
Everyone just like goes completely quiet.
No, he took Dana for a ride. Like where all
true.
fighters are scared to speak out against the UFC. Well, not all fighters. We're seeing it more pushback, but that's what happened with Conor McGregor.
It's like a Stone Cold Steve Austin, Vince McMahon real life situation.
He just stopped wearing shoes because he's like, I'm not wearing fucking. That one press conference, he had no shoes and no shirt. It was just like, fuck you, and had the belt around him. That was awesome.
How many UFC fighters have you seen in Dana White's Ferrari, like after their first fight, after their UFC debut? Exactly. Just Conor McGregor, right? Yeah. And he parlayed that into this character, and then when it was time for him to take the ball and run,
Brian,
he ran with it.